Remember, we're holding on Tov Reish Nun Hey, on Omid Tov Reish Nun Hey, and we're discussing, as the Rebbe told us right at the beginning of this volume, in the first Maimah of Rosh Hashanah, we're discussing the four basic concepts of Gilui HaHelem, Yesh Me'ayin, Etzem V'Hispashtus, and Koyach V'Poyel. Those are the four Ikar concepts that we've been discussing. We dealt with Gilui HaHelem first, and then we dealt with Yesh Me'ayin, and then we're dealing now with Etzem V'Hispashtus, and a little later on in this drush, we'll go over Be'ez Hashem to Gam Koyach V'Poyel. And we saw that the two extremities are Gilui HaHelem V'Yesh Me'ayin. That Gilui HaHelem is that which has been in a higher madrega, albeit in a state of higher and more mushat state, in a higher madrega, through a union of Gilui derech Hishtalshelus, but Tzimtzumim, the Helem comes out into Gilui. And we saw that there's no real chiddush in the Gilui, because it was really there below in a higher form in the Inyan HaHelem, and that there's no real hischadshus or new Inyan in the Gilui Legabe the Helem. And the Maila we saw in that was that it's a Inyan from Kiru, that there's a certain hischadshus, the kiruv in the Gilui Legabe the Helem, from which it's nimsha. And then we saw the other extremity to that is the inyan for Yesh Me'ayin, and we saw that Yesh Me'ayin in the final, after a lot of protei habiyunim in Yesh Me'ayin, we saw that the Yesh, particularly in the Yesh HaGashmi Lamata B'Olam Hazeh, Ein lecho yesh me'ayin godel mizeh, the Indian of Gashmias min haruchnias, Koloshen ha'chokrim harushonim, Ein lecho yesh me'ayin godel mizeh, that there's no state whatsoever of the yesh in the ayin, and the ayin comes b'derech helem v'hester gomo of the machir from the yesh. Therefore, it's a inyan from hischadshus. Gemara, and it's in our even of Helem Boiroi Mea Nivro, or Helem Haver Mea Misaver, completely. And that makes it the exact opposite of the Inyan from Gilui HaHelem, because we saw that in Gilui HaHelem the Inyan did exist in the Mocha, and it only came out but there Tzimtzum Hishtalshelus, and there's a kiruv and a yachas between the two. Mashik in Yesh Me'ayin, it's Inyan from Hefsek Gomo from the Yesh, Klapei, it's Mocha, the Ayin, and it's Inyan from Hischadshus Gemura, with the different pattern that we saw when I get to Yesh Me'ayin, and therefore it's the extremity to the opposite of the Inyan of Gilui HaHelem. And now we're discussing the infant Etzem V'Hispashtus. And we've been dealing with different possibilities of svara that one could suggest what the infant Etzem V'Hispashtus is. And we come to the conclusion at the present inyan where we are now, that on the one hand, if we talk Lamaila, in the Inyan of Etzem V'Hispashtus, then the Inyan Haki Nochen is to talk about the Etzem Ha'oyer HaKolol B'Ha'atzmas. That's to say that it's not shy to talk about Etzem V'Ispastas Mi Pshitas HaEtzem Mamish Mi HaAtzmas B'Etzem Atzmusai, that he's Mudo Mikola HaGiluyim. It's not shy to say even the Madrega of Etzem V'Ispastas. And when we, through the development of the argument for Prote Union, we saw the emissary relationship of Etzem V'Ispastas is in what we call the union of Etzem Ha'oyer, the Gabi V'Ispastas Ha'oyer, but both of these Madregas are Terem, Inyan HaTzimtzum, and they're mamish in a madrega v'oyer HaKolol B'Atzmusai. And we saw that the emes of madrega v'oyer is in Sefer Kol Almin and not in Mamale Kol Almin. And as we've seen previously in the Hemshech, and also he's going to be masber as we go on further, that the oyer, which is bol fiyerach oinamas, l'slavish boinamas, the pnimi, well, that's not the immediate union of oyer. No, that's what we call shefa. That's already got a certain mamoshes to it, which is not the union from his pastor's cloud. That's another union altogether called shefa. It's not really chal, bezer, the immediate union of oyer. The emes of gile, the emes musag of oyer is davki in oyer asayir. In other words, davki in the oyer, which is beklal, what we call oyer HaKolol B'Atzmusai. Let's say not Atzmusai mamish, but the union from the oyer HaKolol boy. And in that gufa there are two madrigas. In the etzem ha'oyer itself, there are also two madrigas. There's the etzem ha'oyer, HaKolol B'Atzmusai, or that's already a union from Amshocha, called Shehi, already a certain gilui of oyer. And then there's the union of Yechilas. And we saw that Yechilas is an even more higher and Dover HaMufshat, what it's like a oyer HaKolol B'Etzem Mamish, and it's model legamri mikol union shel gilui or Ispastas Mimanu, and that's just that Yechilte lahoya v'Yechilte shelo lahoya. He could possibly give forth light, and he could withhold the infant light, and Beklau, the infant Yechilas is mitzad the havdola of the etzem mamish, and it's not really shy to say that it's be hamshocha or isgalas kolshehu min ha'etzem, that it's mamish kol in the havdolas ha'etzem, and it's what we would call the oyer hakodem kikadmusai. It's the in of an oyer mamish kol be'atzmas ad kedikach, that it's kadmoin kikadmusai. It's the union of primordiality, just like the very essence of the Eibusha, and therefore it fits the term of Matthias Bilti Nimtza. It's a type of Matthias which has no relationship to any state of Nimtza that we are familiar with. And so therefore the whole interrelation of Etzem, the Gabi his pastors, is being built not the Gabi the Indian Atzmas Mamish, nor the Gabi that Oyer, Etzem Ha'oyer, HaKolol Atzmas, and from that there goes what we call his pastors, and that's the two madrigas of Etzem Ha'oyer, his pastors Ha'oyer, and the interrelationship between that Oyer HaKolol B'Atzmusai and this his pastors, Nimtza Mimeno. That's the union of Etzem V'Ispastas. And therefore we saw that the emes is that the Ispastas, which is Nimsha from that Madrega of the Etzem Ha'oyer, is like Legabi the Pshitas and the Havdolah of the Etzem Ha'oyer. Then the Ispastas is like a Dover Chodos. It's like a initial ischatches, but it's not a inifan ischatches immediate. And that's better where it's not like the inifan yesh mi'ayin Hispastus Amitius. So we'll, and then we brought down a lesson from the Zohar, the Zohar. HaKodesh Beneged to the Inifan HaOyer, HaOyer that was already there from before, and we said that Inifan, the Oyer, was already there before, even though it's in very high madrigas of Atik, but it's the Inifan Atik, it's Becholzo, it's got some sort of shaykhs to the Oyer of Histaushlas Abo Chachvekain. And therefore it's more the dogma of Gilei Ahelem than it is the Inifan Etzem Bespastas. And that's what we're holding now on Tov Reish Nun Hay, close to the bottom. I would say probably about 10-12 lines up from the bottom. And that's where we're just completing the view of that quote in the Zohar that the Rebbe made. He said, "Zohar Bereshis Daf Tesayin on base Isa Vayi Oyer the Kwahava, Oyer that was already there." And the Migdash brings down B'Shem Migdash Melech that's referring to Zohar, that the union of Zohar, its Shirish Amiti is in Chesed Da'ati. However, Chesed Da'ati is already Midas, but that's what we call Zayin Taktenim Da'ati, and that's the union of what he calls Atik Yoimen, that it's a union from Havdolah, Misede Stauselas, but it's still got a Shaykhs, Bechozot, to the union from Istauselas Eilamas, and that's called Atik Yoimen. We saw that, and that's what he says now. We do it the Atik Yoimen, Ein B'chinas Zayin Taktenim Da'atik. Not a Mitius in Atik, but the Zayin Taktenim, what does the Midas, how Shurshim is also Ba'atik. Al Zeh Shach Loima Sha'oyer Di Staushlas, Hainu B'chinas Zohar, Hu B'chinas Oyer Shekwa Hava. It was already there before, in a much higher Madrega. V'cheinu b'shor Sharishan B'gilu Akav, Me'oyer Ein Seif Shlefnei HaTzimtzum, that's also a Inifan Gilu Ahelem. And therefore we see that on very high madrigas we can talk about the Inifan Gilu Ahelem. And a fila de kav legabi di er. Shelifnei HaTzimtzum is also called Gilu Ahelem, and a fila there was the Tzimtzum Bentayim, in order to cause the Gilu Akav. But that Tzimtzum al Choponim legabi de kav is not enough to cancel out from it the concept of Gilu Ahelem. And therefore that Indian we just bought from the Zohar is also Gilu Ahelem. But the Inifan Etzem Espastus is not that. He said, "V'chein hu b'shor Sharishin b'Gilu Akav," commission is Buliu Perek Shvin Yudalad. Our closest Indian ha'oyer me etzem ha'oyer. But that's the interrelationship that we're discussing now. The etzem ha'oyer, meaning the etzem ha'oyer ha'tzkolu b'atzmus ha'koidem ha'tzimtzum. So he said that the closest Indian ha'oyer me etzem ha'oyer v'kol shneid min ha'atzmus einu b'chinas Gilu Ahelem. How much more legabi the atzmus himself? But that was, like we said, the Eden from Yechoilas, even Lamaylam is there. You can't possibly say that the Oyer Hanimta Mimenu or Mi Madrega Selu, that's the Eden from Gilu Ahelem. Or Mikol Mokim. Even though it's not Gilu Ahelem, he said, Ein Ze Gam Kein B'chinas Ha'Ischatzus Mamish. It's a Inifan Dover Chodos, but it's not the Inifan Ischatzus Mamish, like Yesh Mi'ayin, where Yesh Mi'ayin is the Yesh, that is born in our Ayin is in an Inifan Ischatzus. Mamish, what Ischatzus means, a Dover Chodos, Shein Lezeko Kesher, or Hagosher, Benegel, Makoiroi, Loi Nimtza Klau, Bimakoiroi Klau. Mashenkin and Dina van the Etzem Espastas. Also, we're gonna say that it's also a Dover Chodosh, but not a inyan ischatshus mamish. Sharei eina mahus acher min ha'etzem, rak she'eino ha'etzem. But here we find a very fascinating and amazing inyan what brought down Bahabi Mekema to this, where we say that on the one hand we cancel a certain madrega out from another madrega, and yet we don't say that it's completely something else. It's not that, but it isn't the opposite of it either. It says, Mekom Mokim ein ze gam kein beginners ischatzus mamish, shaharei, the unit for this pastus, shaharei eina mahus acha min ha'etzem, rak she'eina yeh ha'etzem. Hainu legabi etzem ha'oyer. When we say the word etzem, you were comparing to the etzem ha'oyer. We're not talking about atzmusei mamish, the etzem ha'oyer. He said, v'lo ma shenimtza beha'etzem. And it's not something that it's to be found in the inyan from the etzem. In other words, it's not a mahus acher from the etzem, but it's also not something that's found in the etzem. And he said, bechinas yechelas, mashe b'yechel telohoye. In other words, what we say that he has a yechelas lahoye, that's not something, and we don't imply through that the yechelas is nimtza, or in any way to be found in the etzem. On the contrary, like we pointed out, the yechelas is a dover completely moved over mikol metzias. It's just an efshorius that the etzem could, and it has in itself a yechelas, omnibility, how do you call it, omnipotence that could produce this gamkein. So therefore you can't say that it's really there. So in the same way, we can't say that the ispashtus is to be found in the etzem ha'oyer, just like we can't say that yechelas is a inyan of being there. It's just a inyan from yechelti lahoyer, but it's not something which is there. He said, Avaloi mahus acher. In other words, that even though it's got these two negations about it, it's not a inyan from ischatzus mamish, and yet it's not a mahus acher etzem, and it's not nimtza beha'etzem. That's to say, it's not a mahus acher, but it's not nimtza. Avaloi mahus acher. It's not something different. So here we see an amazing concept that we're saying, on the one hand, it's not to be found in the etzem, and yet it's not something where it's actually ma'ir v'mitgaleh to the makabrim, the inifanish bastas. It's not something altogether completely different min ha'etzem, like in yesh me'ayin. It's not a legamre amahus acher, even though it's not there in the etzem. He said, "V'gam sha'etzem im hiyeh sha'ena oyer klal, areinu gam kein mahus acher min oyer." So I said that the same as with the etzem itself and with the ispashtas as being meir, also we say that the which is the etzem ha'oyer, and we pointed out earlier in the minor that etzem ha'oyer is not really a inifan oyer hameir klal. It's not a inifan oyer in the normal sense. Nonetheless, einu gam kein mahus acher min oyer. You can't possibly say that etzem ha'oyer is another type of mahus completely from the inifan oyer. So just like we have in the ispashtas, as we have in the etzem, that on the one hand, it's not an inifan oyer in the normal definition of oyer, and yet on the other hand, it's not something else. Einu mahus acher min oyer. So he gives a dugma. How can you say that on the one hand it's not that, and yet on the other hand it's not really a mahus acher? What the uniform mahus means, the very essence of the thing. In very essence definition, It's not something completely different than oil, and yet it's not the inyan van oil in its functioning normality. Let's put it that way. He said, "K'moy ha'eish." Now we give a dogma. He said, "K'moy ha'eish ha'yisoidi." That's one on the Ramban brings down in Pirushi, ala Torah be'esa mekoimes benegeh to the eish ha'yisoidi. And it's brought down in Siddas Barichas, also from the very early Sifrei HaChochmim B'chulu, that they say the eish ha'yisoidi is tachas galgal yoreach kamutzka b'tanya, that it's like a big spherical state all around the whole universe in a certain madrega within the universe. And he says that eish ha'yisoidi is choshuk. It's literally dark. It's not an inyan of fire or light, but it's an inyan from darkness. So he said, "Harei eino choshech ha'heipach min ha'oyer." We used an adjective, not a noun. We said that the eish ha'yisoidi is chashuk. Chashuk meaning it's like darkened. It's not lighting or illuminating. It's not giving off light. But we didn't say that it's choshech, because choshech is an absolute noun, meaning the heipach of oyer. Rak she'eino oyer. It's not the heipach of oyer, but it's not oyer in its definitional state. Ve'al shem zeh nikra choshech. And that's why our word is similar to the word choshech is used, but I get to it, lishol mimenu inyan ha'oyer. The reason we call it, the Ramban calls it choshuk, is only to negate from it the concept of it being normal flame or normal fire, like it is down here in this world, the inyan of fire. On the other hand, what we say it's choshuk, we don't mean that it's loy oil. We don't mean it's something completely foreign and absolutely awful. We just mean that it's not oil. So kumtois that the word choshuk there is not a dover hafoki. It's only to be shelo mimeno the dover harogio. So he said, "K'moy kein yuvan be'etzem ha'oyer." The same when we talk about the oyer hakol b'ayetzem, then begam b'pinas hayicholas, and even in the concept of yicholas, which is higher than that, he said, "Agam she'ein ze b'pinas oyer klal hu klal." Even though in both those madregas, it's not a state of oyer which is being meir to makablim, and it's a inyan of dollar mizeh mikol mogim ein ze inyan acher. On the other hand, it's not the heipach of oyer. It's like a state between. It's on the one hand not oyer like Lashon Hazayah says lav inon nahoirim. That's not the inyan for oyer, but on the other hand, it's not the heipach of oyer, which would be choshech. Kegon zeh, it's just a inyan which is not oyer, but on the other one, it's not. On the other hand, it's not the heipach of oyer. So kunto is that we can say that in both levels, both in the inyan of the etzem ha'oyer, which is the mocha here, and in the doha mishpashet mimeno, that they're both not a inyan from oyer in the normal sense, but on the other hand, they're not a heipach inyan ha'oyer. He said, "V'chein ha'oyer ha'nimtza mizeh, ein ze mahus acher shiper al zeh inyan ha'ishchatches." So also come to Israel that the Nimto, and that's what we're now calling Hispashtas, that in the same way, just like in the Etzem itself, we're saying that it's not the inyan van oyer by definition, but it's not the heipach legamri of inyan van oyer. So in the similar, the Nimto, and we're saying that the inyan van Hispashtas is a hamtzua, mi ha'etzem hazeh, ein zeh, mahus acher, she'ipel ze inyan ha'ishchatshut. But ischatshus is an absolute now, meaning the very essence of a new entity altogether. So these pashtas, which is nimtza, mi'aetzem ha'oyer, is not a dor chodosh like in yesh mi'ayin, not a ischatshus gemura, and yet on the other hand, it's not a inyan of gilei helem. It's a inyan of a dor chodosh, but not a ischatshus. And therefore we call it a hamtzua. It's nimtza mi'aetzem ha'oyer, but it's got a close similarity to the etzem ha'oyer in that it's got the sort of negativity and positivity. On the one hand, it's not normal oyer, but on the other hand, it's not the heper of oyer. That's the concept of oyer haseive kol almin. And that, as we defined earlier, that's the immediate concept of oyer. So that's sort of getting closer, and this is a very challenging little piece now between here and the end of the os, and I think everybody can notice who's learning the inyan, everybody can pick up. By the way, are the guys in Chabad hearing me?
We hear.
You guys in Chabad, can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear.
You're all hearing clearly?
Yeah, clearly.
What about Moshe spelling? Can you hear me, Moshe? I think he's gone away. Moshe? Are you able to hear what I'm saying? He's gone away. So Chabad is hearing?
Yeah.
And you're hearing Baruch? Yeah, very good. Okay. So, that's how we've got so far. Beneged to the inyan of etzem beis pashtas, and I have to request of everybody to hold their heads and keep their hats on, because this is a difficult passage, and it's very common of this volume in general, the beginning with Tov Reish Ayin Hey, Tov Reish Hey, Ayin Hey, that there's this tremendous move into the deep chiluchim between the different concepts in Chassidus. So we just have to hold for a while, and then we'll see how it all moves in to even Aveda Dikeinyonim, and all has a application. So he says that the Invan what that's the Invan his pastors, is also not a schadjes, but it is a dova chodosh legabi di etzem. A dova chadash in the sense that it's not kolul in the etzem, but it's as we're going to see, it's a dova chodosh miyuchad betachlis hayihud with the etzem, which that differentiates from the concept of hitchadshut. So now we get into a bit of a complication. He said, there's another area which says, or another, we don't have the benefit of being told exactly where the Rebbe is referring to, but he says it's written in other places that Ur Bechlal, even the Ur HaSeiva that we're talking about, the Ur HaKol Batzmusai, that's a inifan mechudash. Now, if I use the word mechudash, then I imply the idea l'choira of a ischadshus. So an ischadshus means like yesh me'ayin, something new altogether, what's never been there before. So that's usually hinted in the word mechudash. So this other mocker being brought here, that suggests that Ur Beklal is a inifan mechudash, which would mean that its relationship to the etzem Ur and to the yecholas is a inyan that it's kilo ischadshus. So the Rebbe said, "Lafi that mochi macher, and lafi that mochi habir." Then what would be? How could we relate that and bring that into our concept, which we just introduced now? So he says, "Hine hanoise me'amavur sham." noisa, meaning the theme and as a word, what comes out of it from the mavua over there. Hu sha'izgalas he ischachas mevnei he gilui retaini. He said the nakuda over there is that those Maimonides suggest that the oyer is a dover mechudash, which would imply the concept of ischachas. And we just said that the oyer is not ein of ischachas. He said the difference is that those drushim over there are talking and calling oyer ein of ischachas because it's what we call a deliberate revelation, a gilui which is talui berotzen, ukiilu kodmaya aheder. The kodmaya aheder means that it was preceded by the absolute void, and if something was preceded from the absolute void, and it came out into his galus, then it's a emes ischachas. So he said that's not because the emissary relationship of the oyer to the etzem oyer is ein of an ischachas. No, because it has this wondrous concept in it that it's what we call gilui retzaini. In other words, that it's not a dover habo me'elo, or me'elo, it's something that's deliberate and it's barotzen. That's to say that even though it's only oyer, and it's only a infinish pashtas, and it's not nogia cloud to the moya and to everything, nonetheless, we're saying that it's a deliberate, that it's precisely beretzoinei, and ilu, it wouldn't have been retzoinei, it just wouldn't be there, cloud. Just like as if we would imagine something that came completely from the header. And so that we see that even though it doesn't have the what you might call the tracts of Yesh Mi'ayin, but it has a certain similarity to Yesh Mi'ayin in the sense that it's a Gilui Retaining. So what is the Rebbe saying? The Gilui Retaining means that there's absolutely nothing that can be machayev or oblige that oyer to appear only retaining barak, which means that legabi the rotzen that is machayev that oyer to be misgalef in the etzem, it's killer there's been nothing, and there's no state from which you can say that oyer goes, because it just started and it's only there because he wants it to be there. As in Cain, it's like as if it's kodmei aheda. It's like as if legabi ratzonei, there's never been anything like that before, and now all of a sudden the Rotzen says, and now we want oyer. As in Cain, as lefi zeh, the inyan gilui ratzoni implies a form of ischachas, although once again, it doesn't necessarily imply that it's a ischachas gemura. And so therefore the Rebbe says, in brackets, that even on the one hand that does imply like a new start, but it doesn't necessarily imply the inyan of ischachas beklal. He said, v'zehu einu shoyl adayin afila inyan gilui hahelem. He said the fact that something is retini, that could apply even to where there's something coming out just from a state of Helem into Gilui. Well, that's the first case we discussed. He said, Ki gamba Gilui v'Helem hu Gilui Rotzaini. He said, even in Gilui v'Helem, you can't say Cholila, that any Gilui from the Helem was just V'derech Mamela, and it just happened. Yeah, it all is B'Rotzaini is Baruch, and it's all deliberate, and it all comes as part of the huge system of Ratzonei v'Kavanosei, is Baruch in the whole Sod and Seder of the Inyan Abriya. It's all because he wanted it that way. She'ein Gilui min hahelem muchrach. Chas v'sholem, to say that the Gilui from the Helem had to be. Now, Adarabah hu ba'alidei atzimtzum. It only comes through different, if we take the case of the the kav, the gavila mila merkav, then that comes in through an initial tzimtzum. If the tzimtzum is a deliberate act of retraction on the part of the Eibishter, that's an interference on his part, and that shows that the whole thing is deliberately planned. It's not just something that occurs. He said, Rak achidush lamaydahu shekamoi kein gam b'ha'oyim min ha'etzem. So he said, that's not really a chiddush. He said, the real chiddush of saying that it's a gilui rotzoni is in the oyer min ha'etzem. Yes, she'eina mukrak. Because oyer min ha'etzem, we compare in most cases to the gilui of the oyer ha'shemesh me'ha'shemesh. That's the close signif, and his pashtus legabi etzem is usually used the marshal of oyer ha'shemesh v'ha'shemesh. So the oyer ha'shemesh is mukrak min ha'shemesh. However, in the Nimshal, it's not like that. That even though there's certain similarities to the concept of oyer ha'shemesh, nonetheless, it's eina mukrak klal. V'lo k'mo oyer ha'shemesh min ha'shemesh. Dahainu, the gilui ha'helem arizeh b'koiches. And he said, therefore, gilui ha'helem, that's already in Yonim from koiches. And koiches are already things which have revealed themselves, and they all have a defined state of their own inyonim. And in that we say that there's a helem legabi de gilui. And therefore it's not a pillar to say that that is bekavona uberotzim, because you've already got defined things which are aiming at certain inyonim, and they have certain inyonim to give. So he said the gilui helem ze koiches. For example, kamoi b'koich ha'seichel v'amidas, u'makshova u'dibur. The inyan from dibur is gilui ha'helem from makshova. Shehein b'metzias koiches. They're already in certain existing inyonim, which we call koiches. V'ainu shehein b'metzias dover. They're already in a certain defined form, and they have a certain state, which can be called a Matthias Dover, She'enu ha'atzmiyas. And that's not to do anything but with the atzmiyas. Mashek, in the case of what we're talking about, etzem v'spastas, we are talking with something which is atzmi. Mashek, in a thing that's already been revealed in a specific form, that's not a Dover atzmi. He said, V'azgalas einu b'chinas ispastas oyer min ha'koyach. And he said, and these galas, over there is not like when you got koichos already and they're giving a gilui one to the other, then these galas is not a infinite pastas oyer. It's not a infinite pastas. For example, kamoi chokmas odom toi pono. Ein mashin is borliil perigray samadal. We said that even though the ponim is a dover rohek from the Indian of the koiches nafshiyim or penimium of the odom, nonetheless that we say that chokmas odom toia ponov, that the ponim is dafkia like a theater where the gilui of the koiches comes in a form of atzmiyas and not in a form of mido or seichel or none of that sort. And therefore there's an Indian of re'iyas pnei harav, b'shas the etzem hashpoah, that when he sees the Rav, then that has a tremendous hashpoah, kilo lamaila, and it's machrich, a much deeper experience when I get to the Indian of the koiches. And therefore we have to say that that's like a form of ispastas from the etzem into the ponim, and it doesn't come derech hakoiches, or derech hakoiches is the union of Matthias Dover, and it's the union for Gilui Ha'helem. And therefore he says, Ki'im, it's not to be compared to that, Ki'im Matthias Dover, Amizgala min hakoyach. He said, Im Matthias Seichel, or Matthias Middah. That's the union for Gilui Ha'helem. ובזה אין הדובר פלא, or אין הדובר נפלא, שהוא גילי רצוני. And therefore, that's not a wondrous thing בכלל, to say that that's all b'kavona and with a purpose that you want to be megala certain inyonim, but even kach v'kach, because you have a certain aim and a certain tachlis that you want to bring about. So therefore you go davki b'rotzen b'chira shemitzad rotzen, and you go davki b'even kozeh v'kozeh. And therefore that's not a pele, that it's a gili rotzeni. However, he said the pele hu b'his pashtas oyer min ha'etzem. Davki in our concept, we're talking about ha'is pashtas, it goes from the etzem ha'oyer, how it's kolu in the moya. Then we say that to say that that's a gili rotzeni, that's already a pele. Because l'chora that just goes b'derech mamela, that if I have a etzem, then it goes off from a dain and his pashtas. And just like we see in the marshal of the Rabbo min Hashemet. And so he says, but Afal B'ken, it's not like that. Yeah, that's Davki A'inim von Rotzen. That even in such high madrigas, the Oyer Mamish HaKol B'atzmusay, the Ispashtas Mizeh is also a deliberate inyan. It's a deliberate and planned, and it's all part of the Kavanah of the Eibishter HaKadosh Baruch Hu B'chveidu B'atzmai. So therefore he says, V'apeli hu b'spashtas ha'oyer min ha'etzem, that should be a gili rotzoni. Dekamei kein hu gam b'gili oyer me'etzem ha'nefesh. L'kabaisin is Borli Yu, Perek Nun Vav, right into the beginning of the Hemshech, over there the Rebbe's Masbir, that even in Yonah, it's also brought down in certain Drushim and Toshin Ches and other places in the Frierdiker Rebbe, that even when you talk about the Etzem HaNefesh giving off a certain oyer, kloli, what we call it Chayes kloli, or even higher than that, the infant Hatoyas HaEtzem v'chulu, even that is a inyan from Gilui Retoni, that the Etzem HaNefesh, even though it's moved on me HaKoiches, and it's mamish a inyan, like he calls it in Tanya, Perek Nun Aleph, he calls it an Etzem Poshut Ruchani, an Etzem Ruchani Poshut, it might be the Lashon, B'chulu. Nonetheless, the things that go from it and are nimsha from it are davki b'rotzen. Like he brings over there a whole wrong riot to that it's only deliberately that the nefesh b'klal gives off chayas, even in the highest level of the etzem, legabi the koiches or legabi the inonim hanimtzoim mimenu, and the chayas the guf afil b'chayas hakloli, which is bedimian to the seiva kolami, that's all b'rotzen hanefesh davki. So therefore he says, v'chol zeh, and he brings a whole raya over there from the Indian of Gilgulim and so on and so forth, without going into the whole reasons. He said, v'chol zeh u she'etz galas, dahainu hamtzoes ha'ir min ha'atzmas u b'chinas ischat shez. So he said, all this, where we're talking about a Gili Ratzoni, and it's davke with a inim, and it couldn't have to be that way b'klal. It's einam mochrach, and the etzem is b'klal, the balabos. There's nothing which just goes from the etzem without its complete planning and a complete rotzen, and a complete kavona, bedova, etc. So therefore he said that that's the inyan of what we said, that oyer, we brought a shitta, we said that oyer is b'chinas mechudash. If we talk about how the hamtzua of the oyer b'klal from our etzem in our form of ischatches, so we said that's why it's called ischatches, because there was like a moment that didn't have to be there, and it wasn't there mitzad the rotzen. If it hadn't been for the rotzen, it wouldn't have b'klal been there. Legabi the etzem shinui, and the etzem moment, as you might call it, of the the Gisgalas of the Oyer from the etzem beginning of that, or that's a in von Ischatches, because the Dover Rotzui, and it comes the Davka Day planning and Rotzen. Avo Kasha Nimto Oyer Menoids. Once it's already there, once you already got, and you're going on with these pastas from the etzem, being nimshach and being Meya, Kamashef Shalagid, that it's Meya, yeah, Beratoni is Barak Lahuya, that's all with the Rotzen, that it all began, Ramalachat Chila, Berotzen Lahuya. He said, Ein ze beginnen schatjes mamish. Then it's not a in van schatjes mamish. In other words, like be the etzem appearance, Malachat Chila, of the earth from the etzem, that's called a in shalish chatjes, because of the rotzen shabadova. Or we're not in the etzem minyan. The ones we already done on the oil, like it's etzem, and not looking at the rotten behind it, then we have to say that it's not a ischatzes mamish. V'hainu gam lefi amavua de etzem in an oyer ubchidnes ischatzes. Even if we'll go with that shitta that we began this discussion with, that even if we'll say that's the case, then that's only legabi the etzem mitzad retzoinoi. Or we're not, that's to say mitzad another factor, or we're not in its own relationship to the etzem. Isiki etzem oer, v'kol shchein beginnus ha'echeles, einem beginnus oer klau. And therefore, since they're not ein van oer at all, therefore the dover which is mehem is also not ein van oer ha'mayir v'poel legavi mashu. It's just ein van gilui ha'etzem. V'oer ha'mishpashet ein ze shenimtza kolo be'etzem. And therefore it's not something which is nimtza there before. It's like a dover chodesh, but it's not a ischadshit. Or misgale ti'im hu is pastas ha'ora mamish. Slicha, mimeno. It's only a ha'ora in the form of what we're calling now is pastas. Ve'ein ze b'chinas ischadshas mamish. Even though it's a dover chodesh mitzad the rotzen, in that respect, that Maki Hibur said that the oil was a ina mechudash. Well, like that we can call it ischatches, but it's not a ischatches mamish like yesh mi'ayin. It's only a ha'ora, but that ha'ora is mitzad the rotzen is mamish adov chodosh, and legabi the havdola of the etzem, meaning here the etzem ha'oyer, and the pshitas of the etzem ha'oyer, then it's like a dover chodosh, but not a Indian van a ischatches mamish. Because it's not kolo be'aetzem, therefore it's a dover chodosh, but it's not a Indian van ischatshus. We're building up quite a fascinating picture then of this Indian of etzem.
Regavni. We're not so clear over here. What's the difference between davar chadash and hitchachus?
Yeah, well, you see, hitchachus means a dover chodesh that's einu mi'ein or einu klau b'shum oiven or derech ein b'ze kol shaychus or mi'ein of the dover that was mamtziet, what that's the dover ha-mohaver. The mohaver and the misaver are two inyanim legamrei altogether shonim. And here we're saying that we call it a dover chodosh, not that it doesn't have any kesher. On the contrary, we're going to see as we go on in the coming chapters that it's dovuk ba'etzem, and it's tavkia, it's all Matthias is the etzem and everything. But we call it a dover chodosh in the pshat that it's not kolol inside the etzem. It's not to be found inside the etzem like gilui ahelem. It's not a dover ishchachas in that it's nifrod. But even showed like we say that the yesh is nifrod min ha'ayin, and the yesh is legamri a dover chodosh legamri the ayin in the sense that it's never been there before and it has absolutely no shaykhus or kesher or even hargosha from whence it comes. Mashenken, the ispastus is not like that. The ispastus is not kolo in the etzem, therefore we call it chodosh, but it's not a inyan of ischadshus in the sense that it is dovok, and it is a inyan from hergish makoirei v'chuli, as we'll see as we go along. That's therefore that concept of not being kolo in the mochia, but nonetheless being aware of the mochia and feeling the mochia, that's called dover chadash. Or a hitchadshut is another idea. That's a dover nivdal, which has no kesher or hargosha or yachas klal chutz mi etzem zeh, that it was created by the mochia, but it has no open isyachasus within the mochia. And that's the difference between the two concepts of dover chodos lefi yerech compared to itchadshut, which is an absolute noun, meaning the etzem concept and the etzem meaning of something having come into a new form. So there we are. That's, I think, one of the most challenging chapters that we've had in this whole Hamshah for quite a few months. Nira Lanir's Dati, Amati, it's very, very difficult and very trying, but that's at this point, that's the what I can make of it, and that seems to me that we haven't gone distant from the pshat, even though on one or two small points we maybe didn't get the full implication of. I don't think we've missed on the main pshat. So now we'll say the kitzah, and Hashem Shalom from the kitzah we'll be able to have more appreciation of what we saw in the Bifnim. So the kitzah says like this: V'hamadrega hamutzas, or hamadregois. I'm sorry, hamumutzois. Madrega is loshen rabbim. Hein etzem v'ishpashtas v'koyach v'poyel. So we saw the two extremities are Gilu Ahelem and Yeshmi Ayin. He said the two that are sort of more in the middle, like a mumutzaz. Between those two extremities, they are the levels of etzem v'ishpashtas, v'koyach v'poyel. So he said etzem v'ishpashtas ishpashtas min ha'etzem. Etzem v'ishpashtas means that the etzem v'ishpashtas itself comes from the etzem and as a direct is galus gilui min ha'etzem. O k'moya hashemesh mi hashemesh. Shebe'ein arei get legabi ha'etzem. He said even though it's ein arei, but it's a gilui min ha'etzem. That's to say that it is megala how much it's shayet. The whole concept of being megala the etzem, and therefore it carries with it the message and the famous lashon of the Alter Rebbe, and that's what we saw at the beginning of the chapter. It's me'ain ha'etzem. He said, "Who beklolos erasevu kolamin." We saw that that's only in the immediate concept of oyer, which is save of kolamin, the oyer which is mamish muvdal min ha'olamas, because all other dargas in oyer, which are in some way related to a slabshas or a kiru of el slabshas, they're already shayat to a slightly different musik kloi, which is called shefa. Ubasharshay by erein seid, yeshalif nayat symptom. Beike, the word oyer refers to seivev, and even to seivev, how it is prior to the whole opening up of the market to Elamus, which was the symptom. Shekol zeh u'oyer hakol bi'atzmosei. Therefore the whole inyan is pashtas and etzem are in that whole level of the HaKolah within the Atzmos. Dahainu, before the Tzimtzum. V'yesh b'zeh etzem ha'oyer, but that's the HaKolah b'Atzmosei, shu b'chinas sosum b'etzem, she'einu b'chinas oyer b'etzem. What we saw, the two levels of sosum b'etzem, and then we saw sosum l'gabi dama makablim. And the sosum l'gabi dama makablim, that's his pashtas. That's the oyer ha'soiva. V'ila, the etzem ha'oyer mamish, bedugnas, what he brings in Tanya and Perigimel of Shara Yichad, the Yer HaMamish Kolo B'toich HaMoyer, and that's called Etzem HaOyer. And then even Lamayla Mizeh, B'chinas HaYichoylet. And we saw Yichoylet was something that's not Beklala, a Gilui or Amshocher, Kol Shehi, but that's just an omnipotence and a potence within the Etzem that it could be Kach or Kach. She'enu gam nimtza min ha'atzmos. It's not in any way hamshocha, which could even be called the word nimtza, which means found not in the way of a normal hamshocha, but nonetheless it's found, as it were, begiloi min ha'atzmos. V'aispashtes einu b'chinas giloi me'ahelem she'arei ina nimtza kolo b'ha'etzem, like we pointed out on many occasions already. Well, B'zoyah, and therefore he brought down the lesson in the Zohar to back this whole idea of Gilui HaHelem, and he said that it's Isa, that there's a Oyer, Shekva Have, Vayem Elokim Yehi Oyer, Va Yehi Oyer. In other words, that lesson, Vayehi Oyer, that tends to refer to the fact that there was a Oyer that was prior to this Oyer. That Oyer Shekvar Have, Ainu B'zayin Taktenim Da'atik. That's in which, even though it's on a very high madrega in Seder Yishtaushalet, Ainu Zayin Taktenim Da'atik, but nonetheless it has some, being as it's called Zayin Taktenim, what that indicates the midas, it's got some shaygas v'kesher to Inyan Yishtaushalet. U'mikom Mokim, Einu v'chinas Aish Chadches, or his chadches, is not an inyan of something completely new and muvdal, bifnei atzmei, like we say about the inyan of the yesh mi'ayin. Sharei ena mahus acher. It's not something completely different. The yesh is mitchadesh, even when ein yesh mi'ayin godel mizeh, that they're two inyanim legamri mahusim nivdolim legamri zeh mizeh. Mashen kein, the inyan of his pashtus oyer min hamoyer, or min ha'etzem oyer HaKolah b'hamoyer, is not something completely different. It's not a mahus, a very essence, which is different than the oyer. He said, v'hu k'mahus ha'etzem b'chinas ein seiv. And he said it's got a certain similarity to the mahus of the etzem in the sense of Ein Sof. In other words, the inyan of Ein Sof is not just as Eitikazach. No, the inyan of Ein Sof is a dover mahusi in the moya, the etzem oyer. He said, "V'gam meisha etzem ein loy oyer." We can't say that the etzem oyer is not oyer, and therefore ein ha'is pastus b'chinas is chatches mamish. Well, for those reasons, it's not a dover nivdal and a dover muvdal b'mahus acher, even though it's not a dover zar, and therefore when we say it's a dover chodesh, we mean only relatively speaking. In the sense that it's not there, kol mamish in the mokim. He said, "V'hu gili retoini." The reason why in some places it's called a dover mechudash is because it's a gili retoini, and the inyan from rotzen is like a new start altogether, and in that sense it's called mechudash. Shekein hu gam begiloi me'ahelem, and therefore that's good. That can also be said about the whole concept of Gilui Me'ahelem. Since that can also be said about Gilui Me'ahelem, then it's obviously not Ein von Ischatches Gemurah, and it's got a similarity to the inyan of Gilui Me'ahelem, but it's not the inyan from Gilui Hashem in the sense that it's not kolul in the Mokir. Arizeh rak kemoi mechudash. It's only like mechudash, but it's not really the emes concept of mechudash. Ukishnizgale barotzen ha'atzmes ye'enam v'chinas ischadches. And when it does come out through the rotzen of the atzmes, then it's a dover mechudash legabi the rotzen, but it's not legabi the ritze of the rotzen, but it's not an itchadshut in that it's not something completely different from him, since sof kosov the makir being here the etzem ma'ir kol b'atzmes is also not a hyper from Moya. Was ad kan the beer beneged to the kitzer is we're gradually making progress, and Hashem Shalom that we be mechaven to the emes, and we realize that Ishpashtas is a very high inyan, in the sense that it's mamish dovuk, and it's gilui ha'etzem, but it's not kolul in the etzem, and the etzem remains muvdal mimenu af shuhu makusha, and he can't be described as a ish chadshus. Nonetheless, he's not mahus acher from his mocha, which is the etzem ma'ir. But l'chira. So now in the new chapter, which we'll just make a start on this evening, in this new chapter, the Rebbe wants to say that maybe we could compare, if we want to sort of find a similar concept elsewhere, we could compare the inyan of etzem b'spashtus to what we call hiyuli. And the Gilui, which goes from the Giluim, which are nimshach from Hiyulium. And everybody knows the concept of Hiyuli, meaning like a mokir, but nonetheless a mokir hamudal to certain Giluim, which we're going to describe now in some detail. And the whole concept of a Hiyuli is, albeit a source or a mokir point from whence things are mizgale, but they're not mizgale in a neighbor of an ishtalshalis mihem, though they're mizgale in a even what appears to be similar to the idea of ispashtas. That's to say that on the one hand, they're giluim from what the hiyuli is all about. On the other hand, they're not protim amishgalim, but they're stimtum or istalshalas from the hiyuli, and they can be literally almost unlimited from the hiyuli. And therefore it's well known that hiyuli, the word hiyuli is a Greek word. It's not a word in Lashon Kodesh. And it's one of those words that Chassidus and Pnimius HaTorah have borrowed. There's a few of them. And Hiyuli is probably one of the most well-known ones of it. And therefore, the word Hiyuli is a Rosh Tevis, from V'hoyeso LaHashem HaMalucha. V'hoyeso Vov Hey Li Hashem. I'm sorry. V'hoyeso is the Vov. Li Hashem is Lamed Yud Yud. Hey is Hamalucha. In other words, that even though it appears to be a Greek word which has certain what you might almost call Hakira type definitions, it's really an indication of Gilei Lakut, and therefore from it and from its details and from its inyonim, we can learn inyonim in Elakut, and therefore Chassidus implies it, because hidden in that word are implications of a very important level in divinity. And therefore he says that the inyan of Etzem Ispashtas could be described as similar to Hiyuli Vagiloi. Can people still hear me? Hello? Can people still hear? Something happened.
Yes, we can hear you, Rabbi Gafne.
Can you hear me, Baruch? I think